Good evening. Well, perhaps it was predictable, but it was still, I have to say, very, very, very unpleasant indeed. I was in a car just after 11 o'clock last night, driving down a main road in London, and there were gathered in the middle of the road a Palestinian protest. I have to say, we turned the car around and went away. And actually, in Kensington High Street and elsewhere, we witnessed, I thought, some pretty shocking scenes. But the media are getting this all wrong. The media are calling these Palestinian protests, and they went on in Brighton, in Manchester, in Newcastle, in London, and other places around the country. These were not Palestinian protests. They were Palestinian celebrations. They were out in the streets celebrating acts of kidnap, rape, and murder committed by Hamas. That is actually what was going on our streets yesterday. Just have a look at these scenes from Kensington High Street, right outside the Israeli embassy. These pictures were from earlier in the evening. I can assure you, as the evening went on, there were bottles flying and things got a little bit more heated. But be in no doubt, this was a celebration. And some of the language and some of the behaviour was highly open to question. Just look at this balaclavaed man being interviewed in the street last night and listen very carefully to what he says and watch the right index finger gesture.
Is it a big night for you guys?
You know, brother, this is the end of the occupation against Palestinian people. Israel is a terrorist state.
How do you feel about what happened in Israel yesterday? About the killings? How do you feel about the killings and the murders? Nothing?
So there we are. Israel is a terrorist state. When he was asked about the murder of innocent civilians, he had absolutely nothing to say. And what of that gesture? Well, many would say it's an old Islamic symbol to say there is just one God. However, it has been, as you can see in this picture, appropriated very regularly by ISIS over the course of the last few years. I'm not suggesting this gentleman was ISIS, but I am saying it was, at the very least, deeply provocative, which leads me in to the Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, who today has written to chief constables, copying in police and crime commissioners across the country. And she says there should be a zero-tolerance approach to anti-Semitism, and the police should look at chants such as, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, which of course implies the obliteration of Israel as a state. Rishi Sunak himself, the Prime Minister, said today anyone in the UK found to be supporting Hamas in the wake of the attack on Israel should be held to account. And of course the same goes for ISIS. Now, what we had on the streets of London last night were all sorts of the vilest, most racist and basest things, frankly, you could ever hear. And yet there were very, very few arrests. And I'm asking a question, should the police do more? You see, if any of you stood outside a mosque tonight in central London and shouted out foul abuse about the Muslim religion, I think within about half an hour, maybe 20 minutes, you would have your collar felt by the old bill. Should the police be doing more in this situation? Please give me your thoughts. Farage@gbnews.com.